I'll call the meetings to order. My name is Leo Prigge. I'm the chair of the commissioner, CPA from Butte. And we'll start a roll call by commissioners. So I'll start with the sole commissioner other than myself in the room here. Commissioner Morris. Here. Commissioner Harbaugh.
Here.
Commissioner Metropolis.
Here.
Commissioner Taylor.
Here.
Okay, with all members of the commission present, we have the next step is to introduce the lottery directors. I'll start with Director Ansher.
Ann Charpentier, Sales and Marketing Director for the Montana Lottery.
Arlen Sargent, Finance Director, Montana Lottery.
Philip Charpentier, IT Services Director, Montana Lottery, present.
Brian Costigan, Montana Lottery Security Director.
Bob Brown, Lottery Director.
Okay. Got everybody. And I'll turn this over now to Director Brown for new employee introductions.
New employees. We have some fabulous new employees. I will start with Caitlin Duncan. She's right back here, the smiling face right back here. Caitlin is our new customer service representative at the lottery. She has worked in customer service for multiple years and has the most experience of working in her recent position or profession as front desk for Home Suites by Hilton. She is a wife who is a sweetheart of a husband. I'll let you know, I didn't write this. A sweetheart of a husband. They just got married this past June, so congratulations on that. And a mom to her two beautiful and a son and a daughter, whom both constantly keep her on her toes. She's excited to be working with our wonderful team here at the Montana Lottery, and I will add, she is doing an excellent job.
Okay.
And we have two new LSRs, one in Region 5, Jess Pratt. Jess is an avid hunter and fisherman, grew up in Colorado, attended Trinidad State Junior College while playing baseball there for 2 years. He then transferred to Wayland Baptist University in Plainview, Texas. Moving to Montana, he graduated from the Montana State University Billings with a bachelor's in business management. Out of college, he obtained a job at Enterprise Mobility as a sales management trainee and worked his way to sales branch manager. Position for Enterprise Truck Rental before being made LSR of Region 5. Jess was recently engaged and is planning a wedding in September of 2025. Welcome, Jess, and congratulations to you also. Katie Seaman, Region 2 sales rep in Missoula. Also joining our sales representative team is Katie Seaman. Katie was born and raised in Missoula. She attended Montana State University and received her degree in microbiology. After graduation, she returned to Missoula and attended the University of Montana for post-grad certificate in forensic science, spending a semester interning at the Montana State Crime Lab. Her interests include reading, golfing, and Grizz football. That answers that question. She's attended both colleges, and so I was going, how did she, what does she do? She joins the lottery after a 14-year career in sales in the Montana beer industry. Welcome, Katie. And I will say all of these folks, I believe, are excellent additions to the lottery. I believe they're all going to work out very well and do excellent job. And we have one final, this is a dedication to Dennis. I hope Dennis is on the line. I want to take this opportunity to mention that the Region 2 LSR position is becoming vacant because Dennis Beaudry, our longstanding LSR in that region, is retiring next week. We reflect on an extraordinary 23-year journey of dedication, professionalism, and unparalleled contributions. Dennis has not only been a remarkable salesperson, but also a cornerstone of our agency's success and growth. Dennis, your unwavering commitment to excellence, your ability to build relationships, and your determination to always go the extra mile have left an indelible mark on this organization. Through your passion and persistence, you've inspired your colleagues, set high standards, and helped achieve milestones that define our agency today. Beyond the numbers and the accolades, you've been a mentor, a friend, and a shining example of what it means to be dedicated oneself to a purpose. Your legacy of hard work, kindness, and integrity will remain a part of who we are for years to come. As you embark on this well-deserved chapter of retirement, know that you take with you not only the gratitude of your colleagues, but also admiration and respect of all who've had the privilege of working alongside you. Thank you, Dennis, for 23 years of excellence. You will be deeply missed, but forever remembered. Best wishes for a future as bright as the career you leave behind. Congratulations, Dennis, and we do thank you very much.
Agreed.
Did we want to, we jumped opportunity for any public
Well,
comment?
that was the new employee, so I think we could do the public comment now, yeah. Is there anybody in the room or online, you can raise your hand? You're on the call, that would like to give some public comment up at the top of the meeting here. We're gonna give opportunities later in the meeting for public comment as well. I just wondered if there's something off the top here that somebody has anything to contribute, right? Okay, let's see.
Not seeing any public comment.
Okay. Okay, then we'll move on to the director's report with Director Brown.
No, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So RFP update. I know everybody's kind of wondering what's happening here. Since we last met, I have been in discussions about the RFP with other directors and legal counsel about the process and our ability to negotiate within the parameters of Senate Bill 51. As you know, we have received an offer from the incumbent. And through those discussions, it became apparent that we should further explore the proposal and the options that we have using Senate Bill 51 to our advantage. To be sure that we are moving forward with the best option for the people of Montana and the future of the lottery. And that's really where the process that we're starting to engage in now. That's where we're at right now. We will keep the commission informed of our progress and understand that no final decision will be made without, as we all know, without the commission's approval. The one thing as we were going through this process and discussion and the discussions I've had with many people, you know, both within the state government and in private businesses as well, you know, one of the things that really spoke true to me is we're in a position, we do not have to race. We do not have to be in a rush to get through this process. And the best thing that we can do is to be sure that we have examined all things. So when we come out to the other end of this, we have really have one chance to do this and one chance to do it right. But when we come out of the end, we know the lottery knows, I know personally, everybody here knows personally that, you know what, we have done everything that we can do or have the ability to do to assure that we have the best product and the best outcome for the people of Montana. You know, it's never a bad thing to be as informed as we possibly can be. And, you know, that's really where we're at. And we'll be moving forward with that discussion further as we go along here, obviously, but just kind of want to keep everybody posted what's up, and we'll go from there.
Okay, thank you. The commission, is there any questions or comments on this for the staff or the director?
John has his hand
John's
raised.
got his hands raised. Yeah, go ahead.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. I sent you all an email. I think you all know what my opinion is on this. I think the public ought to know as well. I respect and like Director Brown a great deal. I do not think his efforts are in any way responsible for causing any problem. I know he's doing the best he can with a difficult situation. But I have to express that I think this is legally extraordinary. At first, that's one point, and I'll elaborate. Second point is I disagree with Director Brown that we have a lot of time. I think time is our enemy. It shifts the leverage in favor of the one vendor we are negotiating with. And it makes competition more difficult to get up and running. And if I were one of the other vendors observing this process, the elapse of time makes it more likely that I'm going to say, well, this process is not going to be fair and open. I'm not going to get a real shot. And so it'll drive away vendors, resulting in the end in a self-fulfilling prophecy that I think some people have argued that, well, how many people are really going to compete for this? Well, yeah, the competition will drop off if we're delaying things because one potential bidder is given months of back and forth to negotiate with us. So, having said all that, I want to loop back to the first thing what I said, which is I think it's legally extraordinary. We already delayed the initiation of the RFP process for months until an August or a September meeting, I think it was, when the commission took a vote to move forward with the RFP. I mean, we took seriously the fact that Senate Bill 51 was amended and that we had an option, not a mandate, but an option to avoid the RFP process. And after being fully informed, we decided to pursue the RFP process. So now I think if we're going to backtrack on that, it's going to require ultimately a decision to reverse that decision, that first decision. And I think it might require some legal process to get that done, a petition or something on the part of the negotiating partner to get us to back off. Legally, right now, I think we're obligated to pursue the RFP process. Now, let me conclude with that. I think I honestly believe we have an extremely competent staff. When I have talked with them and listened with them, I hear that they know their business, they know the alternatives, they know how to assess them, and they know how to run an RFP. Moreover, the Department of Administration is, in my general understanding, legally responsible for running an RFP in a very fair way that avoids insider type sweetheart deals, which I'm sorry to say this kind of is beginning to look like. So I think we and the state of Montana can rely on our staff and the DOA to do a very, very good job and get competition together that will result in the goal that Director Brown correctly stated. That's what's best for Montana. If we don't go through that RFP process, we won't have competition. And I really fear for the, it's not just the reputation, but the future of the Montana Lottery if it appears that it is not totally and in all ways and all times above board. That it might be subject to undue leverage. So having said that, I've said my piece, I think. I certainly will answer questions if anybody has any, but beyond that, I'll be quiet. Thanks.
Okay. Thanks, Commissioner. Any other comments from the commission? Commissioner Morris.
I just have a question, and Director Brown, staff. What was the intent behind Senate Bill 50, was it 51?
Yes.
And who's did that come out of an agency? Or I mean, how did that take place, and that they did this roundabout on the RFP?
Commissioners, let me refer that to the attorney we have from Department of Administration, Don Harris, because Don can probably answer that question better than any of us in the room.
Commissioner Morris, members of the Commission, Don Harris, Department of Administration, Chief Legal Counsel, and we oversee, as you know, procurement for the state of Montana. I was involved in the Senate Bill 51 discussion. It was a Department of Administration bill. The change to the lottery part of the procurement code was not part of our bill originally, but through the legislative process that was added. The exemption from the Procurement Act was added in the legislative process.
Was the amendment supported or suggested by DOA?
No, it was not. I mean, I should say it was not suggested by DOA, and we didn't take a position on, really supporting or opposing it. It was the legislature. I think it was amended in committee, and once the legislature decided they wanted to do that, we were supportive of it because what we were trying to do with our procurement reform bill is just align procurement statutes. I think some of the wording was employs a consultant, and we were trying to get away from language of employment, because that's what we do when we hire somebody, and switch it to contracting language. So when we're contracting, we're not actually hiring an employee, we're contracting. They have an independent contractor relationship with us.
So originally it was basically kind of a housekeeping
Yes.
type of bill, and then it got hijacked in some form to include this language that that you don't have to follow the RFP process on certain instances for certain contracts or for all contracts.
I don't know what the legislators were thinking, but we talked about your last meeting, what the effect of it was, and I think that was pretty clear. You don't have to look at the intent to see that what the legislature did with the language is they took away the part that said employment of, and they changed it to contracts with. So the end result, I think, was pretty clear when the legislature put that in.
It seems like a big step that in any procurement process, that the RFP process is very important, so that you have kind of a level playing field, you have competition, and we can just avoid that. And agencies can just work contracts to, whoever they feel. That seems like kind of a big deal.
Well, I think that's a fair point. I'm glad you raised it. One of the things that the Procurement Act says is that before you decide to do an RFP or renew a contract, you have to look at what's in the best interest of the state. And I think going back to Director Brown's comment, the purpose of taking this step is to make sure that we look at a serious offer from a vendor that's been providing services to the state for a while before we take a next step, whatever that next step might be. And certainly it's in the discretion of the commission what to do going forward.
Thanks, Don. Yeah, that's helpful.
Commissioner Metropolis.
Metropolis, so Commissioner Metropolis has another question, or if any of the other commissioners have a question, raise your hand. Looks like Jana wants to comment too. Jana, do you want to go ahead and go first?
Sure. Well, I'll be short. I first of all want to thank Commissioner Metropolis for all of the things that he said. I agree that we have such an amazing, competent staff. But my question is there, let's see, what if we decided to extend the RFP process? I mean, do we have to hurry? I know that we're already past our date, but can't we decide to extend the date?
Nope.
You answer that as well as anybody.
Commissioners, yes, within the current contract language, there exists the ability to extend however long is needed within the current contract itself. So if it's decided that, hey, we need another year to properly review, 6 months, any amount of time, it is at our discretion with the procurement, with the current procurement law or the prior procurement law, we can do that. So yes,
good question.
To answer your question.
Yeah, and that's that was something I was wondering too, is like, would we have to go back and make concessions to the current vendor to get an extension? But if it's within the existing contract, that we could just basically dictate, or would there be a negotiation around an extension?
There would absolutely need to be, because we've fulfilled all three extensions within the current contract. However, our language within the Procurement Act allows us to extend further. It would require negotiation with the current contractor to get that extension.
Okay.
But it does, the ability is there.
Okay. So it's not a hard and fast deadline, but it could potentially be tricky. Okay. Thank you. Commissioner Metropolis.
Yeah, I'll be brief. First of all, I think Commissioner Morris has understood this situation perfectly. I went back and looked at the committee hearings. I also looked at the conference committee hearing when the amendment was offered, and it was a last minute thing, and that was not explained. Frankly, it wasn't even barely explained. It just wasn't explained. So, that's problematic. But then, since it didn't mandate that we evade the RFP process, it only gave us the discretion to do so. We can still use the RFP process. Secondly, on the time issue, it seems to me we've given I don't remember the exact deadlines, but we've given the current vendor months to come up with real good real good proposals. And I don't know why we would want to take more months to re-examine that and go back and forth again. All the while, I think we do that, we're discouraging other vendors from competing in the end, if in the end we decide to do an RFP. And frankly, we're also losing the chance to get a timely update on all our infrastructure, our hardware for the Montana Lottery. So, I mean, I agree with Commissioner Taylor. Perhaps we don't have to rush, and I don't think we have rushed. But time is not really on our side, I don't think, or the state of Montana and the public that likes to use the Montana Lottery services. I think the future is really happening here, and we ought to get to it. So I've said enough. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, John. Tony, do you have anything to add, or?
I guess I certainly agree with Commissioner Metropolis. I think that as a commission, we made a decision at our last meeting as to what the direction should be. And we're in a situation now where it appears to me that we're being asked to change that direction. I guess I'm unsure that even if we wanted to do that, that we could do it today in a meeting where it probably hasn't been properly noticed. But I think that the critical part of what we're dealing with here is the integrity and the transparency of what we're trying to accomplish for the citizens of Montana.
Okay, well, thank you. Yeah, I agree. I don't know. I guess as this thing stands right now, where are we at with this then? So the commission had voted to move forward with the RFP. We're in negotiations with the current vendor right now, under the, Article 51 or the legislative bill. I guess the RFP isn't off the table, but that could still come back into play depending on how those negotiations pan out. But Dawn, I guess could you come and speak a little bit to like where, because Commissioner Metropolis raised a legal issue around like what, you have the commission saying one thing and now, DOA wants to revisit this a little bit. So where are we at with that legally, in your opinion?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chair. So where you are now is you have a proposal from the incumbent. It really hasn't been discussed. My understanding is the lottery staff hasn't, engaged in any kind of serious discussions with the incumbent about their proposal, because almost as soon as the proposal came in, we had the commission meeting and there was the commission vote to move forward with the RFP. So of course, that's still available to the commission and to the staff, and that's still an option. But we thought as an agency that it was important to, properly vet the proposal from the incumbent before we went forward with the RFP. RFPs are very expensive and time consuming. We're going into a legislative session, and obviously what you all do here at the lottery is very important to the legislature and the state's budget. And so kind of in the interest of making sure that we were fully informed and you were fully informed in the decision that you made, we thought it was important to, consider the proposal from the incumbent. And so where you are now, hopefully staff will be able to have productive discussions with the incumbent vendor. We'll see where that goes, maybe nowhere, or maybe they'll have something concrete to bring back to you and say, this is what we were able to achieve, and give you a decision point, a data point that you can use to decide, yeah, we want to go forward with that proposal, or we want to proceed to the RFP. And at that point, you have the same opportunities that are available to you now.
Okay, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah.
So we voted in our last commission meeting to proceed with the RFP process. And now, although that vote stands and the commission is responsible for making these decisions, it's on hold. So staff is not able to look at proposals from other entities, other companies that are interested. We're just going to Interlot and looking at their proposal without considering anything else because of this hold on the RFP. Is that correct?
Not exactly. It's just because of the statute. And again, you're exempt from the Procurement Act as a whole as a result of Senate Bill 51. But, like we talked about last time, certainly nothing wrong with being guided by it. We talked about that a lot from the standpoint of the RFP. But we felt as a staff, and I don't mean the lottery staff, but in particular, Department of Administration with our procurement responsibility, that it's important to, do the process, do the homework on looking at a renewal possibility, which is what the statute says. And so that's why we're recommending that you take a hard look at it, That's not to say that, other people wouldn't submit offers. I don't know if they will or they won't, but really right now we think the focus should be on finding out what's available from the incumbent, bringing that back to the commission. There have not been any discussions. The only thing that has happened, to my understanding, is a proposal was made, never really considered. And so now let's figure out where that can go. Can that get the lottery where it needs to be? Bring that back to the commission, and now you have a clear choice. We want to do that, or do we want to do the RFP?
So I'm still a little confused. I think we were appointed as commissioners to do what's in the best interest of the lottery in the state of Montana. And we took a vote, and that's the way the commission voted. And does DOA have authority over the lottery commission?
No.
And my understanding kind of is that there was a bit of an edict from up above that this is what you guys are going to do, and if you don't, we'll find somebody that will. So I don't know. I mean, I don't have an issue really with taking a look and doing what you're saying. It just seems to me that, kind of put a muzzle on us, kind of put a leash on us as to what we're directed to do.
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Morris, I wouldn't say there was a directive. It was really just that, at the last meeting, I think we'd had a week or 10 days or something like that to even look at the proposal, just to know what was in it. I would say barely. And we felt, and let me just go back to the question about the whose decision is it? Ultimately, the operations contract requires the consent of the commission to go forward with the operations contract. That much is absolutely clear in the law. But in terms of administrative attachment and the rest of the statutes require the Department of Administration to provide administrative support for the lottery. And what we felt was we needed to look at the offer, do our due diligence, and then if the commission's decision is still to go forward with the RFP, absolutely, then that's fine, and we're here to help you do that. But we just felt like we hadn't done our part, our homework, in order to allow the commission to make a fully informed decision.
Thank you.
All right, looks like John, go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, my recollection is pretty clear that in September, I didn't hear a lick of doubt out of the staff that they had had enough time to adequately review that proposal. I think they gave it a thorough review and gave us their best opinion. So, and that is the key logical point of Mr. Harris's argument, that the proposal wasn't fully vetted. And I guess what I would say is, if DOA didn't fully vet it, okay, that's on them. But our staff did, in my opinion, and we made a fully informed decision in September.
Okay, thanks, John. Janet?
Mr. Chairman, commission members, I just have one more quick question. How expensive is the RFP? And how much more money is it going to cost us to go that way? Does anyone know?
Thanks. And I appreciate the question. So an RFP, a large one of this size, it can be from a couple $100,000 or more in terms of staff time and resources. I'll give you an example. From my own experience, a much smaller RFP, we did a $1.8 million contract for a public information request system. And I've been between the RFP and sitting in the evaluation committee and then in contract negotiations and now in the implementation phase, probably over the last year, dating back to last October to now, probably spent a third of my time. And I have another attorney and a paralegal who've been spending time on it, as well as 2 IT project managers. So it tends to be pretty expensive. We're thinking something like this that might be in the neighborhood of $300,000 or more in terms of staff time, both from Department of Administration and then lottery staff.
Thank you.
Thanks. Joe, do you have something that more to add? There's a comment in here.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm just wondering if the cost of the RFP, which we had anticipated in the last session, wasn't already covered by the previous session, so that, you know, there's no additional cost from this point. And I guess I would say 250,000, 500,000 is a drop in the bucket to get this right for the state of Montana for 7 to 10 years.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, there's also the, you know, okay, I'll let Tony go. Tony, go ahead.
I may have missed it, but I'm not sure that I heard the answer to the question as to who actually put the amendment on the bill, and I guess I would direct that to Mr. Harris, if he does know who actually introduced the amendment to the bill.
Mr. Chair, I apologize, and Commissioner Harbaugh, I don't know the answer. I know that the bill sponsor was amenable to the amendment, and that was Senator Fitzpatrick.
And the department was there, and did I hear you say that the DOA supported the amendment?
Yes, that's correct.
Thank you.
Oh, no, that's not correct.
Well,
You didn't come in as supporting the amendment.
we didn't oppose it.
They did not oppose it.
Thank you, Director.
Thanks, Commissioner. Okay, so I guess at this point we just, you know, move forward with the current process. Yeah, on to Dawn. Yeah, I mean, that's why I guess I'm wondering where this thing goes from here, you know, is who's, you know, how quickly do we need to act on this? When do we expect to get, you know, a more fleshed out proposal from Interlot?
Commissioner, the lottery's prepared for counter to Interlot to go back. Actually, it's ready. It was ready yesterday. We're going to send it after this meeting today to them. And then, did we set a deadline on that? 2 weeks. We should get a response back.
Okay. And then at that point, do you think would it be appropriate to get some further input from Dawn and see where we're at that point and decide whether or not we go forward with the RFP? Is that a special meeting or is that?
Well, I think there's gonna be there may be some back and forth. You know, we're sending them what we're sending them, and then I believe there'll be a response from them, and then you know we may respond. You know, there may be a couple back and forth pieces in the negotiation. The one thing I want everybody to be sure that we understand that this is really to get to a point that we bring that back to the commission and say, here's where we got to. You know, we will not move ahead without the commission's approval one way or the other. We already have the approval, I guess, to push forward with the RFP. If we, you know, if things in a negotiation are just to fall apart, it's not gonna work, we can see it's not gonna work. We have that ability to push the RFP out, but if there was gonna be any change in direction, would have to be at either the next commission meeting or have a special meeting with the commission and really get the approval to do so.
All right, Dawn, is there anything else you want to add to this or this discussion or?
No, Mr. Chair, I think Director Brown said it best. I think what we're hoping to do is bring forward a solid vetted proposal from the incumbent. If we're not able to achieve that, then obviously the decision is easy. You've already made it move forward with the RFP. But if we can get something for you to look at, that's what we'd like to do and just put it in front of the commission.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
After our last meeting, when we voted to proceed with the RFP, was there a notice that went out to other companies, scientific games, whoever else participates in these sort of things, notifying them that this process was indeed open and getting some kind of an idea if they were interested in submitting a request, a proposal, or did we not do anything?
Commissioner Chairman, there's a process to the RFP problem, the whole procurement process. We had already completed the request for information where we asked all the vendors to come in and show us their awareness, which we had completed that, but we had not opened the request for a proposal from other companies. So they're all aware of when our contracts are up, what's coming on. So they're aware and they're looking for that. So, but we had not made the announcement.
But there is other interest.
Yes, I think that's fair to say.
Can you tell us 1, 2, 3?
I don't know how many are going to submit.
Well, no,
So
just that if
for the RFI, we had,
Interest, I would say 3.
yeah, for sure 3.
Yeah, I was just going to reiterate that. The RFI, during the RFI process, we had the 3 major vendors express interest in responding to the RFP. So.
Okay. Commissioner Metropolis.
Thank you, Chairman. I'm going to remind the commission that I'm a lawyer, so that's why I'm taking so much words here. I'll try to shut up after this. But I was appointed to this commission, like all of you, to pursue the best interests of the state, but also because I'm a lawyer and I've remained a lawyer expressly for this purpose. And I just want to say, in my legal opinion, this is a legally extraordinary and precarious position if it goes on too long and if we don't pursue the RFP process. And with that, I will close. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Is there any other public comment on this in the room or online?
No hands raised.
Okay, hearing none, then let's move on, and we expect to hear, expect you guys to keep us informed on how this proceeds, and let's try to get to a decision as soon as possible. And if we need to get this RFP going, let's get it going. So, okay, so it looks like the next update it will be a financial report from Director Sargent.
I get to bore everybody to death. Just to kind of summarize, everything's about the same on the balance sheet, I guess you'd call it. We had a huge decrease in sales. That's because we had 3 jackpots last year at this time. We had Powerball, Mega Millions, and a decent Montana cash. So that's the only difference. So if I could everybody turn to page 2 of the actual financials. Starting at the top, we have current assets of 11,159,000. These are roughly 976,000 lower than last year. Obviously, you can see the main differences are cash and cash equivalents. And that is due to just the timing of our retailer sweeps. Kind of just depends on where the month or the quarter ends. A little farther down, non-current assets of 1.99 million have only decreased by 8,000. Reason for the decrease mainly because of depreciation, amortization, which is obviously just part of our operations. Accumulated depreciation increased 15,000. Accumulated amortization increased 225,000. But then on the flip side, we had an increase in our muscle reserves of 190,000. Going down further, current liabilities of 9,165,000 have decreased by roughly 3.301 million between this year and last year. This did due to the decrease in our accounts payable and transfer obligation. Decrease in accounts payable was because last year I don't know how many, but I think we owed 3 invoices to Intralot. Because there was discrepancies or whatever, which we didn't have this year. And our transfer obligation decreased by 2.665 million, just due to our bottom line. The fact that we had 2 quarters worth of transfer last year. That was sitting there in the liability. Non-current liabilities, not much of a change. There were 4,028,000, 2,000 more than last year. Most of this was decrease in our building lease receivable or payable. And on the offset, we had an increase in our pension payable of 81,000. So all of the above increases, decreases resulted in assets and deferred outflows of roughly 13.65 million, which is roughly 1,087,000 lower than last year. Page 3. For the quarter ended 9/30/24, operating revenue was 33,818,000, which is a decrease of 2.6 million compared to last year, or a decrease of 7.2%. Scratch revenue increased 25.6%. Treasure play increased by 5.9%. Lotto America increased by 90.8%, and sports bet increased by 12.1%. On the flip side, Powerball decreased by 19.7%. Montana cash decreased by 64.4%. Yeah, there were jackpots last year. Mega Million revenue decreased by 71%. Lucky for Life 5.9. And Big Sky bonus 4.1. Section down below that. There's a decrease of approximately 2.799 million or 9.9% in direct game costs, which is in direct relation to the sales. An increase and decreases in ticket and prize costs. The decrease in operating revenues and decrease in direct game costs resulted in net operating revenue of $330,000, which is actually $189,000 higher than last year. Down below in the big section, operating expenses, 1.196. Decreased by approximately 15,000 or 1.2% decrease. Nothing major. Variance are due to a combination of increases and decreases. But as far as bigger changes, we had a decrease in our audit fees, as you can see. And that's all dependent on when they charge us. Public relations expense dropped by 19,000 also. And this is due to when marketing needs the need. So nothing really big there. Non-operating revenue expenses. There's only one thing in there right now, and that's decreased by $900. Just based on what's invested, rate of our return. So the combination of a 2.3% increase in net operating revenue and 1.2% decrease in operating expenses resulted in a quarterly transfer of $4.265 million. Which is 2.665 million lower than last year's 38.5% decrease. Lastly, the percent of transfer to revenue this year, well, this quarter, was 12.6%. Last year it was 19%. So, to the next page. Everything's pretty much even. I know we're 25% of the year, but total revenues were 22.25. Direct game costs, which directly related, 22.18. Operating expenses at 22.55 for a bottom line of 13.68%. Any questions so far? Nope. Right, last page. You can see this bottom line by game. Scratch was at 24.87. Powerball's 34.99. Montana cash, which we just paid out a big prize, is at 0.59%. Mega Millions 33.25. Treasure Place 6.85. Lucky for Life went up a little bit, 31.75. And Big Sky Bonus, 17.98. Auto America, 64.66%. And Sports Bet at 18.04%. Following 28 pages are exciting reading of the notes. Any questions?
Anybody online have any questions?
I'm not seeing any public comment or questions.
Okay. We need a motion to approve the financial. Commissioner Morris made a motion. Can I get, is there a second out there?
I would second. This is Tony.
Thanks, Commissioner Harbaugh. It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Same side. Hearing none, financial report is approved. Thanks, Armin. Moving on to the information technology report with Phil.
Phil Chartier, IT Services Director for the Montana Lottery. Since the last commission meeting, other than RFP talk, in the IT world, we've been testing and deployed 2 production releases with several updates included. We also had on-site developers from Georgia spend time in Helena to help us close many back-end reporting requests and updates. And of course, we tested and deployed the Montana Millionaire release. We all know how well the launch of that game went. And we also had no issues with the $250,000 Monday drawing earlier this week. In IT, we are also ready for the grand prize drawing to be held on December 26th. And we also have finally launched the Sportsbet Montana UI UX update for mobile phones yesterday. For this reskin, we had already released backend updates in preparation for the new look and feel of the mobile apps. This upgrade has aligned the mobile app interface with how the kiosks look for sports betting. I have mentioned this project a few times in the past, but I can say that we've taken care and taken our time with this release to ensure we do not introduce any new issues with the deployment or anything that will give the mobile app users a bad experience with the new look and feel. As I said, the deployment occurred yesterday as a soft launch with sales and marketing approval. Notifications will be sent out to our account players when we set the upgrade, the mobile app upgrade, to required or forced. So they are aware that the appearance change is expected, and that will happen before Monday. So great shape with that. We took our time with it, and no issues to date with that reskin of the look and feel of that mobile app. Looking forward to the next quarter. We will be testing and launching the new Ruby Casino Treasure Play game. This game is replacing the high-stakes progressive Treasure Play game. And you guys, the commission has already approved that new game, Ruby Casino. It'll be launching mid-January. So that's on schedule, on track. And we are also starting user acceptance testing for the Mega Millions game changes that are currently scheduled to launch on April 5th, 2025. February is also coming fast, which means it'll be time for the operating system switchover, currently planned after Super Bowl Sunday, before March Madness. I've spoken about these switchovers in the past. There's no concerns with this one coming up. It's just a note for our information. And finally, another visit with Intralot key staff in Duluth, Georgia. will be scheduled for security and IT to review lottery expectations, incident reports, and conduct the physical security inspection of the facility. Short and sweet today, that's all I have. If there's any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Any questions for Director Charpentier? I'll move along. Thank you. Director Ann Charpentier with marketing and sales. Yes.
Well, good morning, everybody. Ann Charpentier, Sales and Marketing Director. We'll start out by looking at our performance compared to last year's record performance. Although a bit low, below last year's total sales at this time, many of our products are performing well as we head into the late part of Q2 for fiscal year 25. Our jackpots have been lower this year, which is why we are seeing those negative percentages for the bigger jackpot games. Per products performing well are our Sportsbet Montana, Treasure Play, and Montana Millionaire, all products that we'll take a closer look at in slides that I have coming up here. Slide. Lotto America is one of those national jackpot games that is performing outside of the norm for the other national jackpot games. In that it's experiencing a significant increase in sales, 26% over last year at the same time last year. This is due to the long-growing jackpot for this game. The last jackpot hit for this game was one in Minnesota in on April 24th for just over $3 million. Next. A closer look at Mega Millions does show that decrease in sales due to the billion-dollar jackpot during the beginning of the fiscal year last year. As you will recall, the Mega Millions game consortium is changing the game in April that Phil was just discussing. We are preparing the sales agents and the players for those enhancements in the coming months. We do have a healthy jackpot right now for Mega Millions, and we hope that this jackpot will take us through the holiday season, and we will see a billion-dollar jackpot under our Christmas tree. So Treasure Play had a great start to the year, helped with some of the decent progressive jackpots. Those jackpots continued through the second quarter of the fiscal year. We must talk about our record jackpot for high stakes progressive, which reached $261,006 and was won last month on November 11th in Bozeman. It was exciting to watch that jackpot grow like it did. Not only did this jackpot grow, but it helped grow interest in other jackpot, non-progressive and progressive jackpots along with it, which was really great to see. And as I reported in September, wagering remains consistently heightened than in the previous last 2 fiscal years, as the red line indicates there. We will continue to market specific events that we know will drive wagering. We have a lot of important events to prepare for in the coming months. Most importantly, Super Bowl and March Madness, which we know carry with it the greatest volume of wagering that we see all year. Provided here are 2 charts. The first is a look at fiscal year 25 handle breakdown, GGR and payout, with the handle breakdown broken down by sport below the pie chart. Right of that is the same chart, but depicting the project to date handle data. Football is the clear front runner for the most bet on sport this fiscal year so far, but basketball is expected to take that #1 ranking once we surpass March Madness. I do want to point out that we are creeping closer to a milestone contribution of $10 million contributed to our sales agents since Sportsbet Montana started in 2020. This is something that we really all should be very proud of. And as you know, there are 2 places that bettors can bet. They can do it on the machine, or they can use their mobile device in location. And in the 538 locations currently licensed, a majority of our handle for the most recent week's data came from our machines, 91% according to that data. And it would make sense that the largest number of wagers would also come from the machines as well, 87% as shown on the right. And before we leave the sports bet product, I want to touch on one of the more important wagering events that we have all season, which is the Brawl of the Wild Cat Grizz game, a very popular wagering event for our players. And this year was no exception. 2024 was a bit less in total handle, which we attribute that to a couple key factors. One being the heightened excitement surrounding the 2022 ESPN College Game Day, participation in Bozeman, and in 2023, both teams being highly ranked, and in the conference that was held in Missoula. So this year was missing those exciting elements, but the handle was still really impressive, especially for the number of wagers that were actually placed. So still a very successful season, despite those other two things and those two factors in 22 and 23. So not complaining, certainly. Okay. And a look at Scratch. In comparison to last year at this same time, it is performing very strong with a 20% increase so far in comparison to last fiscal year. This is due to the continued popularity of the $30 Millionaire Maker game, as well as the $10 Chevy game, which still has a truck prize unclaimed in the game. So we're still waiting for that prize to get hit out there. And we're okay with it still being out there.
Yeah, completely.
Working away. Yes. And a little good news too. Talk about Montana Millionaire. Everyone kind of knows what's going on there, but Montana Millionaire continues to amaze us. Another 120,000 tickets added from last year, and we sold out in half the time from last year. We were thrilled by the performance that we had with Millionaire this season. Selling out in 2 hours and 46 minutes. In that short sales period, we did $10 million in total sales, which equates to $2.9 million in profit for the state of Montana, which is something that we couldn't be more proud of. Our sales agents were thrilled to participate in early sales and made special efforts to bring in patrons at the traditional start of the 5:30 a.m. so they could sell tickets when the game went on sale. We did our $250,000 Monday drawing, as Phil talked about, and one lucky winner who bought their ticket from the Office Bar and Motel in Vaughan won $250,000, and that winner is still in for one of the 4 $1 million prizes that we'll be drawing on December 26th. So not only did they win $250,000, but they still could win one of the $4 million prizes. So not too shabby. So any questions about Millionaire? Of course, it's always a none. Seeing
Questions? I'm assuming we're going to talk in future meetings about
Absolutely.
potential game modifications.
Most likely in March, I'll bring something
Okay.
to the commission for consideration. And just upcoming initiatives for Q3. We've got a lot going on as usual. We'll of course finish out our Millionaire season. We'll be doing a lot with our preparation for more events for sports betting. We've got our our Mega Millions enhancements that we'll be preparing for. Holiday Scratch campaign is in full swing. We also we have a responsible giving campaign that is currently running and we're managing, and we have a lot of planning for fiscal year 26 that we will be implementing here just shortly. So always lots going on. And that's all I have. Are there any questions that I can answer?
None for me.
I just had a comment if I could, Mr. Chair.
You bet.
I'd like to commend the staff for the visibility that has been appears to have been increasing on social media. The comments have been very positive. This week, the announcement of unclaimed prizes was something that I hadn't seen before, and I just think that's a real step forward, and I'd like to thank the staff for their continued work.
Well, thank you very much, Commissioner. I appreciate that. And in the room with us here is Selena Clift, who is our content manager, who's done a really fantastic job, along with Kayla, her person who does a lot of the social media as well. And I know they'll appreciate that accolade, and I know I do too. And so thank you very much for that. And they've done an excellent job with stepping up our social media presence. So appreciate that.
They truly have. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Tony. All right. Well, thank you, Ann.
Yep, thank
Great
you.
report. Good work on the Montana Millionaire. It is just the technological achievement to sell that many tickets in that sort of time, bringing all that money and all that stuff. It's pretty remarkable, you know, how that could go down that quickly. I wonder if no, I won't say. I love the story of the guy in the office barn on winning the 250.
I do too. It'll be great to hear her, their, whoever story it is when they come in.
Imagine though that maybe that person didn't go home, you know, maybe there's like, you know, at 5:30 in the morning.
Probably a hunter.
Yeah.
They go in there and, they take their gears in there and sell.
I love it.
Yeah. Oh, I bet. Yeah. It'll be very, I hope it'll be a story we can share. And, and come March, I'll be sure to bring it in and share it with everybody. So.
Just from an IT perspective, this system, we were told the CPU on the back end was barely touched. It was 5 to 10% pegged with all that transaction. So there's room for improvement. As far as still speed.
Yeah.
Wow. We'll just go faster.
Okay, awesome. All right, Director Costa.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Just a couple of quick things before I get into Director Brown and myself, in addition to the lottery, we've been tasked with by the governor's office, specifically the lieutenant governor, participating in a series of conversations with the tribal nations in developing the gaming compacts. So that's taken a little bit of my time and Bob's time to do that. It's amazing their interest in some of the products that we have. So it'll be interesting to see where all of that goes. Till next one. I want to talk about parameters, a couple of things about parameters. First off, game parameters, as you're well aware, are the rules for sports betting and our other games that we have out there. They're called parameters because of state law. But one of the things that we have found, as we have in the past with sports bet, is as certain events occur, there is a need to quickly adjust our parameters to prevent a possibility of hole in the system that somebody's trying to exploit. So what you see most of the time are reflections of that, and and how it gets covered. Or one of the sports leagues makes a change in rules or something like that that impacts us all the way across. One of the things I would like to have from you folks, these will always come to you for approval, but anything where the security of the system is necessarily, with your approval, I'm going to make that change immediately and then come to you with the change for your final blessing and approval later. I don't want to see us go sideways. I guess that's the first item for from me for that, and hopefully you guys agree with it.
Okay, it needed a motion on that.
Yeah,
To talk about just if something comes up in a specific event that there's an obvious hole in these parameters, you want to fill that hole before it gets, not wait for the,
Yeah.
not wait for the commission to act on it. Yeah, that sounds reasonable to me. Any comments or?
I trust you completely. But I know it's just hard to put the toothpaste back in the tube. You know, sometimes if we make this decision and it turns out that it's not correct, then we've got a little bit of an issue. I'm fine. I will support you and make the motion too.
Excuse me, Commissioner, I appreciate that. And if you have a better way to do it, I'd be happy to entertain that. This is the only way I could think of. And it's not the best way, but sports bet is so freaking dynamic. Out of all of them. And not that we have a ton of changes, but when they happen, they happen. So.
And it's protecting the book, which the book tells us, hey, this wager we have can be better protected with this language. We can protect ourselves, which protects the Montana Lottery, and it also protects the players at the same point. So just by getting that language included, the other alternative is to stop offering those markets, which we don't want to do. We don't want to not offer MMA until we get this approval, specifically this approval. And we don't want to put ourselves at risk unnecessarily. So when you say you rely on us to make the correct choices, we also rely on the book to inform us and say, you have a hole here and this needs to be filled. And the alternative always is to just end that market if it comes to light that the game parameter is inaccurate or not covering our needs. We could always end the market itself, the events that
or suspend it,
or suspend essentially indefinitely for that matter.
Well, temporarily.
Temporarily, we're trying to avoid that
Yeah.
with speed to action here.
Chairman Priggy, this is Tony. I would second the motion.
Okay, it's been moved by Commissioner Morris, seconded by Commissioner Harbaugh. Any further discussion?
I think it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, too. Okay, I'll call the question for all those in favor of the motion of allowing Director Costigan to change parameters, in a more timely fashion. Please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Okay, motion carried.
Head on
Yeah,
to this one. We have one. This is a parameter change for MMA, just changing boxer to fighter on the bottom, as you can see. And then we're getting more defined towards the bottom about the rounds and where things are along that line. Plays out. If everybody, hopefully everybody can read that. Do you want me to read it out loud there?
everybody see it?
No, we're good.
So there must be bets of 2.5 per hour, over 2.5,
Yes.
under 2.5, the decimal point. Okay.
The decimal point was not defined properly, clearly in the game parameters, and this defines a half round as half the time because MMA fights are different than boxing fights, and boxing fights can be different in each other. So we're just better defining what a half round is.
Just sort of make much.
It needs a motion.
We need to approve this specific parameter. Any other discussion on this before? All right. I get you see the motion.
So,
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Morris. A second?
Second.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Metropolis. Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, hearing none, okay.
One last thing on the parameters, what I'm going to do going forward then is they'll always come before you. You guys get to see them, we'll explain them to you. I'll tell you if they've been implemented or not, and then it'll be still continue the commission meeting. So,
Okay, good. Thank you.
thank you.
All right. Is that it? Okay. So it looks like we're down to the end of the agenda here. I would like to allow for any additional public comment for anybody online has anything, or in the room has anything go to the order here.
I'm not seeing any public comment at this time.
Okay, thanks, Mike. All right. Well, we'll move on then to the next meeting date of March 13th. Does that work for everybody, or?
I would be unavailable at that time. I'm out of state that week.
Anybody else?
I'm pretty much available anytime. I mean, if we could do it on the 7th maybe, or the 21st.
Yeah. Tony, is there any other time earlier that?
Either of those dates that John mentioned works for me.
The 20th? We do these typically on Thursdays, right?
Yeah, so.
Moving that up, nice with you guys to the 6th.
It was just a suggestion.
Okay. If everybody's good with the 6th, that's fine with me too, so. Okay,
Yes.
Yeah, it works for me.
let's do it. Okay.
Anna has her hand raised.
Jana? Oh.
Jana, you have to unmute.
Muted.
Sorry, the 6th works fine, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Could we start at 9 o'clock? Is everyone okay with that?
Sure.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
You're not.
Gotta get up there.
You guys are tired. Okay. Let's do it. All right, well. If there's nothing else for the order, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you. Yeah, no.
No fighting on that one.
All right, thanks, everyone.
And the meeting now.
Thanks, everybody.
Other ones.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks.
Oh.